7.4 is called trig functions. We use trig functions in right triangles. We have a new variable called theta. Theta is just a Greek letter. It's an oval with a line through it. We would spell it T-H-E-T-A, theta. Theta represents an angle measure. And also cannot be equal to 90 degrees. So if you're looking at our triangle, theta can either be this top angle or the bottom angle, but theta can never be our right angle. Right. We have three trig functions. We have cosine, sine, and tangent. We abbreviate cosine, COS. We abbreviate sine, SIN. And we abbreviate tangent, TAN. Each of those trig functions has a formula that goes along with it. We use opposite sides, adjacent sides, and the hypotenuse when we're talking about them. So for example, cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Let's apply these to our triangle. If I labeled this side with X, Y, and this side with a Z, and I'm trying to figure out what is cosine theta equal to. Well, cosine of theta is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. It's always in relation to wherever theta is. So in this case, theta is in our bottom angle. What side would be adjacent to theta? If you said Y, you are correct. That's supposed to be a Y. Now, what side in the triangle is the hypotenuse? Remember, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. So Z is the hypotenuse. Now let's do sine of theta. Sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So what side is opposite of theta? Or you could also think of it as across from theta. X. So opposite over hypotenuse is going to be X over Z. And then the last one is tangent of theta, which is opposite over adjacent. So again, opposite, what side is across from theta? That's going to be X. And then what side is next to theta, or adjacent? That's going to be Y. All right, so one more time. Theta is in our bottom corner. So Y is going to be our adjacent side. X is going to be our opposite side. And Z is going to be the hypotenuse. All right, before we look at any problems of how we use the trig functions, I want to write down the steps for you. Every problem will use the same steps. Your first step is going to be to identify theta. So choose which angle you're going to be using. The second step is label your sides. So you're going to say, well, do I have an opposite side, an adjacent side, or a hypotenuse? After you've labeled your sides, the next step is you need to figure out what trig function you're using. By looking at the types of sides you labeled, that's going to tell you what trig function to use. Okay. After you've chosen your trig function, your fourth step is going to be to plug in all of your information. After you plug in all of your information, you want to use algebra to isolate the variable. Once you get your variable by yourself, you're basically done. The last step that you have to do is plug it into the calculator. Okay. Click on the next video to see examples of how we use these problems.